Hi and welcome to the Resources Roadhouse focus on Canada, and today we will be pouring maple syrup over a short stack of ASX-listed pancakes in the form of 3 gold exploration plays that have set up camp in various provinces of Canada. Our 3 guests today are Tempus Resources Managing Director Brendan Borg. Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you.
Matador Mining Executive Chairman Ian Murray. Welcome, Ian.
Hi, Wally.
And Ardiden Managing Director and CEO Rob Longley. Hello there, Rob.
Good morning, Wally. Good morning, gents, and good morning, your viewers.
Good morning, everybody. So, gentlemen, you're over in Canada, and Canada, like Australia, is a well-known and highly regarded destination for exploration and mining, with all regions, again, like Australia, always featuring highly on the annual Fraser Institute survey of mining jurisdictions. So your 3 companies have all chosen Canadian projects, all within 3 different provinces over in Canada. We've got British Columbia, Ontario, and so Newfoundland. So no doubt each project had different attractive features that lured you over there. But could each of you provide some insight as to what Canada as an exploration destination has to offer to a junior ASX-listed explorer? So, Brendan, I'll drag you in first. And so, regulation-wise, how is British Columbia for Tempus Resources?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it as an opportunity to get into. We were looking at gold projects already in the Americas, and to get into Canada, we had the opportunity to get into Canada, and we liked it because we saw that there was an opportunity there, especially for Australian-based juniors, given that the Canadian junior investment space had been dominated recently by other sectors like marijuana, Bitcoin, and those sorts of things. And we saw that there was opportunity to get in there into a first world tier 1 jurisdiction, famous for its gold mining, and an opportunity to get in there and get into a project for a relatively modest sum and to be able to explore that. More recently, as we've gotten into the project, we've really seen that some of the benefits that are available in terms of us being able to utilise the flow-through financing schemes that are available in Canada, which give some significant benefits to investors that are investing in the mineral exploration space. And that benefit actually flows through to us, and the recent financing we've been able to do, we're able to get up to around about a 40% premium on a big chunk of that money that came in the door. So that was some of the things. Of course, all the other things around infrastructure and all of that type of thing was attractive to us. A similar place to home as well. So a comfortable and familiar place to work in.
Oh, and British Columbia itself, I mean, that's been historically a fairly well-known mining jurisdiction as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And we've timed our run well in British Columbia as well. There's quite a lot of activity in the immediate vicinity of where we're working, and also further north in British Columbia in the Golden Triangle. There's a lot of companies making a lot of discoveries, and some of them are quite surprising. They're quite close to Vancouver. We're only about 200 kilometres away, and there's been some other significant discoveries made in surprisingly close proximity to Vancouver as well, in British Columbia.
Okay, well, Ian Murray, you're over in Newfoundland, and do you notice any differences to things like Brendan may have brought up regulation-wise over there?
Not really regulation-wise, but obviously we're on the far east coast of Canada, and it is an area which has been overlooked by the Canadians in the past in terms of exploration. And what attracted us was this is a region that hasn't really had the proper greenfields targeting work that the Australians do very well. We've picked up 120 strike kilometres of a shear zone, which has been untested. So that was the attraction. And in terms of the approvals, given that the fishing industry, which was the main industry on the island, has collapsed, the local government is very supportive of establishing mining as their main industry. And whatever approvals are required, the government is there, happy to negotiate, happy to meet with the companies when our guys have flown over there. And it's great to be working in a jurisdiction that is so welcoming of mining.
All right, so again, obviously a good place for a junior explorer to be setting up camp.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so Rob, I'll bring you in now. Ontario, it's a region or a province, as they like to call it over there, that always sits high in the Fraser Institute rankings. Any particular reasons you'd give for that?
Well, it's a well-regulated environment that's mining savvy. I mean, there's about 20 operating mines in Ontario at the moment. They produce 2 to 3 million ounces a year, and it's a good investment jurisdiction. Toronto is the home of a lot of that financing, and as Brendan touched on, the opportunities have been there, and Ian as well, in that it hasn't really been explored at our level. The majors and mid-tiers are all in there mining, but they all need the juniors to bring new projects online or to feed that part of the market. So the reason we're over there is because of the opportunities that exist and the underexplored nature of the ground. It's you can't go anywhere in Western Australia, at least, and pick up the sort of size portfolio that you need these days to attract investment, to make it of a scale that's meaningful, at a modest price, as Brendan touched on. It's not overly expensive to aggregate these together. So while they've been suffering a little bit from the lack of funding into the TSXV end, Aussies are moving in to take advantage of that void and getting on well with Canadians. So they are welcoming to Australians. They're not rejected. There are a lot of permitting issues there, but that's transparent. It's just a system to work through. So it's a very good place to work.
I suppose what you're sort of alluding to, both Canadians and Australians, the mining has been an historic part of both countries. So both countries really do understand the industry. So moving over as with a good mining heritage, you're welcome over there.
Yeah, exactly, and good skill bases on both sides, both in terms of geologists, geophysics, exploration, as well as the finance sector, funding of these sort of projects. So I think it's a very easy place to go and operate. Same language. There's a bit of French around, but that's all right. And it's refreshing to work in these sort of places where they are providing incentives, as Brendan talks about, flow-through shares. At the moment, there's certain concessions because of restrictions on COVID. They're just generally good people to work with, is my experience.
And it's just been picking up on like the flow-through share thing, because another question I was going to ask the three of you, because I'm interested to know that if there's any other allowances in all three jurisdictions where you work that aren't on offer in Australia that you feel could be introduced. So, I mean, the flow-through shares one is one that has been on the table for a while, but are there any sort of others as well?
I'm only aware of the flow-through shares, which obviously Brendan has done, and I think that is it's a direct benefit. It benefits the charities over there, and it incentivizes exploration work being done directly in the ground in Canada. So it's a well-structured and well-thought-through model that Canada's implemented.
Right, Brendan, you were the first one to sort of bring up the flow-through share things when you were speaking. Has that been an important part of Tempus and the move over there?
Yeah, it has been. I mean, we are looking to cross-list on the TSXV at some point in the near future. And for us, we wanted to get the capital raising that we've just done. We wanted to get to bring some North American investors in as part of that, as a precursor to the later listing. So we really wanted to work with a Canadian firm and to raise money in Canada. And the fact that we're able to get through the administrative process of setting up for the flow-through share raise was a little bit onerous, because it was the first time that, to our understanding, any company Australian company has actually completed one of these financings. But for us, it's been well and truly worth it. I mean, the amount of money that we're able to raise, as I touched on before, in British Columbia in particular, that you get a significant premium to the what we call the back end price of the raise. So it's been, it's probably worth about $500,000 to us additional into the company's pocket if we had just conducted a straight raise here in Australia. So well and truly worth it. And as Ian said, everybody wins. The charity wins, and the back end investors are still paying the lower price, but the company's getting that premium and the higher price, and the money's going straight into the ground in Canada. So the government of British Columbia and Canada in general benefit as well. So it's a great system, and it would be really good to see that come into places like Australia as well.
Well, we'll just stick with you for a minute there, Brendan, because as you're sort of touching on the recent raising, the $4 million raising, that's enabled you to get out there drilling at your Black Dome Elizabeth Gold project, just north of Vancouver. So obviously the drilling's just started, it recently commenced. When do we expect to sort of hear any news from there?
Yeah, so we're just we're expecting the rigs to be actually mobilising to site within the next week or two or so. In terms of results, we're probably looking at about from when we drill the first hole, we're probably looking at about a 6-week turnaround time before we start to see the results flow through, and then we'll look to drill probably through to around about the end of October at this stage, which means that we'll have results coming from the drilling program all the way through until the end of the year. We may drill through, depending on how things are going in terms of results and speed of program, etc. We might actually go and drill all the way through the winter. They have drilled all the way through the winter in this project in the past, so we can do that if we need to. We'll just wait and see how things go with the planned program and take it from there.
All right, terrific. So Ian Murray, you've had plenty of gold success over here in Australia. You led Gold Road Resources, of course, through the exploration, discovery and development phase of the Greer gold mine. But I have to assume that a move to Newfoundland to have a look at a new project, it's more than just a change of scenery.
Yes, it is quite a change of scenery, and I hope to get to see the scenery at some stage once COVID restrictions allow us all to travel. I'm sure all three of us are itching to get across to see our projects in the Canadian summer. But yeah, no, what attracted me to Matador is this whole land holding that they've got, with so little work, structured work having happened in the past. I just think the normal way of just rolling out the greenfields exploration strategy to come up with your projects, move them up the resources permit, for lack of a better word, and we've got existing resources there of 840,000 ounces, and advancing those at the same time is very appealing. And just as the other guys have said, that what got us here in the first place was there were people our guys were looking for projects around the globe. They had been burnt in Africa with changing legislation, so they didn't want third world jurisdictions. Projects were expensive to acquire in Australia and in Canada because of the investors moving into marijuana and alternative investments. Resource projects were very cheap. So it was a great opportunity at the right time to get set with a project in a tier 1 jurisdiction. And now what we have to do is do the proper exploration work and turn that into discoveries and resources and then into reserves.
And you haven't rested on your laurels over there. You just announced recently that you've increased the land holding there along the Cape Brachier.
Yeah, so we had 80 strike kilometers. Now we've got 120, and the reason is simple. There's smoke all over the place. There's gold in the soils. There's gold in the rock chips, but it's that structured greenfields exploration strategy hasn't been implemented. So let's tie up as much of the belt as we can, and then roll out that exploration program. And hopefully we can use the flow through share structure at some stage, because the money that we raise is going to go straight into the ground in exploration. So there's no risk that we're not going to be spending the money where it's meant to be spent.
All right, well, if you've got a sniff of gold there, you've just recruited a pretty good right-hand man over there. You've got Justin Osborne, who is a big supporter of yours at Gold Road Resources. He was pretty much a right-hand man there. So having Justin on board, that's a bit of a coup for Matador as well?
Yeah, it is. So Justin joined us as a non-executive. He's still an executive at Gold Road, which is very important. And the purpose of bringing him in is to mentor and guide the exploration team at Matador in terms of how to roll out the resource drill out together with the Greenfields programs. Because Justin, his background, he was with WMC, he then joined Goldfields. He was with Goldfields in their global exploration team based out of Oxford in the UK. He's worked in Finland. He's looked at projects all over the globe. And he was particularly attracted to the exploration potential of what he saw in Newfoundland, because to the north of us is Marathon Gold, which has got the Valentine Lake Gold Project, 4.2 million ounces. Across the ocean to the south is the project St. Barbara bought, Moose River Gold Project. So as the cliche goes, it's elephant country. You just have to do the proper work. And there's an IPO happening at the moment called Newfound Gold, which is based on tenements in Newfoundland. And again, that I think they're targeting a $75 million valuation at the end of an IPO. So it's a significant valuation. We're a fraction of that. So the real upside for shareholders is let's do the work, let's put the drill holes in the ground and prove what the potential is.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ian, if you do find an elephant in Canada, I'd like to be the one to break that news. Right. So Rob, we caught up earlier this year, Rob Longley, at the RIU Explorers Conference in February. Since then, Ardiden's made significant inroads at the Pickle Lake Gold Project. In particular, you just identified an assortment of gold deposits and prospects to complement your Casa McGuinness deposit. So what does the company intend to do with all these new deposits and prospects? What's on the table?
Well, we'll take a leaf out of Ian's guidance book there and apply a systematic exploration approach with the best technology at hand to make it efficient. There's a lot of opportunity there for us to go and attack. And I think what's important between all three projects that you've just talked about, just winding back a little bit, Wally, is that despite everything else we've said, the geology is just unbelievably rich. Canada, the Canadian Craton and the other areas are incredibly rich and have a long mining history. So it's not just a financial jurisdiction, it's the endowment of the ground, in particular for gold, but other elements as well. So we've got 18 odd prospects and deposits we're going to wade through progressively and ramp up our activities as we potentially get greater market appreciation. That's what we're all working towards. The investors or the brokers understand the opportunities there. It's somewhat of an education process for retail and for investors to understand what the potential is there. It took them a while to get used to Africa, a few decades ago, and some of them are still getting used to why ASX companies are working in North America. But that's becoming obvious with the likes of us, St Barbara's, Newcrest and Kirkland Lake going back home again after having a fantastic run in Victoria. So the spotlight really is on Canada from those in the know, and Ardiden is just getting a little bit of market appreciation the last few days with some other neighbour activity in the area, which is great. And we think exploration by Australians is going to be done at the right scale that is really attractive to the investment community.
It sounds like all three of you are going to be extremely busy and probably even busier once you're allowed to get on an aeroplane and actually fly over and get boots on the ground. It's been a great pleasure having you here at the Roadhouse today for our Canada in Focus program. Let's hope it's not too long before any of or all of you are back here with big news of advancement on all your respective projects. But until then, it's a Canadian farewell. I don't know what they say over there, whether they say Uru, cheerio, or whatever. But whatever it is they say, here we say Uru from the Roadhouse. It's been great to have you all here today, and look forward to catching up with all three of you again very, very soon.